Hi, and welcome to the Power of Your Identity Masterclass with Rock Thomas. The words that follow I am follow you. If you saw my Goalcast video that over 75 million people have seen, you'll understand that we can all redefine ourselves. And today's class is about helping you go from where you are to where you want to go, to get you to overcome the obstacles that stop you from having massive success. And that's success on your terms. I'm going to give you a formula, a template for you to decide what it is that you want. I'm going to identify 6 key blockers that I think hold people back from living an epic life. I'm going to share with you some of the formulas, and then I'm going to give you an invitation for some continuing education with me if you want, and see if we can blast off your success. Are you ready to get started? All right, so the first thing is that there's a style of learning that we all have, and most people are really lousy learners. Sorry to break it to you, people are lousy students. So how you learn comes and stems from the level of curiosity that you have. I'm going to invite you to have a high level of curiosity, because how you approach yourself to anything in life is generally how you approach yourself to everything. If you come into this classroom thinking, I know that won't work, that's what you're going to see. I'm going to invite you to be really curious, in fact, passionately curious. The second part that I want to invite you to is to play full out. The work ethic that you bring from a job bagging groceries or mopping floors at McDonald's is the work ethic that you bring to the future life. I worked at McDonald's, 2 of us mopping floors and cleaning trays, and one day one of the guys was sick. The manager asked me if I could do the job of 2 people to the best of my ability. I looked at it as a challenge, and I played full out. I ended up getting a promotion, and they changed that job from 2 people to 1 going forward, because I raised the standards and I played full out. That's been a result for the rest of my life. The same thing happened when I worked at a restaurant. I was a busboy. I got promoted to part owner. When I was taking flying lessons, I offered to help them clean the plane and do extra things. They made me a part owner. So you playing full out here is going to serve you for the rest of your life. The work ethic you bring to this is the work ethic you bring to everything else in your life. So I invite you to play full out. And part of that will be you sharing in the chat box. I'm going to suggest that when you learn something, pop it in the chat box. You get an aha. And that way you're going to be engaged. Many people measure life by their achievements, and therefore the prospect of doing something that will cause failure, they shrink from. They stay in their comfort zone. Really enlightened people measure their success by the level of engagement they have in the moment. I invite you to be engaged in this process and to trust that you're going to absorb exactly what you came here to learn. And that way, you'll get what you need to. I've done Tony Robbins' Unleash the Power Within over 40 times. Every time, I learn something new. Every time, I'm a different person coming to that event. Some of the things I'm going to share with you here, you're going to go, I know that already. But you're a different person, hearing it a different way from a different person, individual, at a different time. I'm going to ask you to trust, to be open to what makes sense to you, what resonates with you, and that way you can let it land and have it serve you going forward. Let's face it, we all want more in life, and if you had everything you wanted, you wouldn't be listening to this webinar. You'd be somewhere on a yacht in the middle of the Mediterranean, doing what you wanted to do. So there's something missing. Be open to me sharing that with you. Make sense? All right, so let me give you an overview of what we're going to be covering in this masterclass. Now, the first thing is we're going to get you to tap into your potential. And I find that when somebody says, yeah, well, you have more potential, it's almost like an insult. What they're saying is that you're capable of more, but you're not doing it. And I've discovered that the reason is that often there's things that we know that we should do, like work out more, make the extra call, do our budget, but we don't, because we don't know how to inspire or motivate ourselves past the words, I don't feel like it. I'm going to show you how to do that. The second thing is that there's things that we don't know that we don't know. And that will continue for the rest of your life. However, if you're passionately curious and you bring a great work ethic, that circle will shrink. It'll never You'll never learn everything, but you'll start to learn more, and you'll be able to rise like a video game through the different levels and have greater success. The quality of your problems will change. You know, making $1 million isn't going to solve all your problems. It's just going to allow you to arrive into your problems with a little bit more success, a little bit more style, a few more choices. And that's what I want for you by tapping into your full potential. Now, the 4 stages of learning, something we all go through, by the way, and I'm going to show you what your quitting strategy is and how to overcome that. And again, how to get through that tough second zone. If you don't know what that is, you're going to be startled that it happens in every area of your life. Now, after studying successful people from Elvis and Oprah and Ellen and J.K. Rowling and Stephen Jobs, etc., I realized that there's 6 things, principles, keys that unlock their power to success. Now, they're not necessarily the easiest things to build up, but I'm going to show you what they are. I'm going to give you a I am statement to redefine it. And it's up to you to drill and condition them into your system. But these 6 keys, I want you to look at them as something like, hey, am I practicing it? Do I have a level of mastery on it? Or do I not even know about it? Does it fall into that category that I don't even know? Now, once you have the 6 keys, I spent the last 20, 25 years of my life coaching people and realizing that it's the same things that stop people from applying the keys. I'm going to invite you to learn how to master applying them with the top 10 rules. And I'll explain more about that to you later. Cool? Now, one of the things that stops us all is that we tend to behave to the expectations of our peer group. Think about the 5 people you spend most of your time with. You probably earn about the same amount of money. You speak very similarly. You eat very similarly. You do similar things. That's why they're your peer group. If you want to have massive success, if you want to jump ahead in your life, you're probably going to have to change your peer group. I'm going to talk more about that later. Does that make sense? All right. Are you jotting anything down in the chat box yet? Let me see that activity and see what's happening. Get yourself fired up. Grab yourself a sip of water, stretch, take a deep breath, and let's get started. All right. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about myself. If you don't know my story, I grew up on a farm in Montreal, Canada, and I was taught to work very, very hard. And later on, I learned how to work smart, and I became financially free. And today I have 36 streams of income. I own a bunch of real estate. I have a bunch of businesses. I have over 400 people that work currently in my businesses. I've created tons of jobs, and I have the freedom to travel around the world. In fact, I created 2 mastermind groups that allow me to travel for free around the world to bucket list adventure, cool places, and experience that with high-minded individuals, and even get to spend time with some of my mentors or people I idolize, sharing the stage with them. And I'm going to show you how I redefined myself from this little hardworking country bumpkin that was dyslexic and had trouble spelling to this entrepreneur and serial entrepreneur, if you will, an author and trainer and speaker and businessman. It didn't happen overnight, but if you're patient, I'll show you the trajectory, and I think you're going to find it doable for yourself. Cool? So you are your programming, and I was my programming. So I learned how to work hard, and it from 8.5 to 28.5, that's all I did. Drove a taxi, I did carpentry, I cleaned houses, I cut lawns, I bartended, I busboyed, really anything that was kind of minimum wage, a little bit more. I just grinded it out. And when I was around 28.5, I had a senior citizen home. I had a couple of houses I had bought, and I was on my way, but I was burning myself out. And I was addicted to working. It's the only thing I knew how to do. I wasn't a lot of fun. And I also used, drugs and alcohol as a way to distract myself from the pain of feeling like I wasn't worthy, I wasn't enough. We live in a society that measures success based on achievement to a great degree. So my goal was to achieve a lot by working hard. And it felt like for a long time I was banging my head against the wall, just like getting up every morning and working hard, just like I was trained in the farm. So I don't know how you were programmed, but you're probably living out your programming. And if it's not getting you the result that you want, if you don't create a new environment and a new change, which I'm going to introduce you to, you can anticipate not getting different results. And I'm going to tell you that the best way to quickly look at that is look back 5 years and try to figure out whether there's a lot that's changed in your life, mentally, emotionally, physically, and then you can probably predict what's going to happen going forward. When I was around 28 and a half, I got a phone call from my stepmom, and she told me that my father was diagnosed with cancer. I don't know if you've ever received a call like that, but it stops everything. Everything that was important to you changes in that moment. And for me, I always wanted my dad to be proud of me. I always wanted him to have a connection with me. And I didn't have that great a connection. He was a workaholic, and that's what I was modeling. So I stopped. I was working in the airlines at the time. I stopped. I took some time off. I flew to Australia. And over the next 2 years, I went back and forth. And by the end of the 2 years, my father passed away. And I watched, him lose control. He was a big man. I watched him lose control. I watched his life slip away. And I went through a divorce. I ended up losing my job. I ended up suing the company. I ended up losing all my life savings. And I ended up getting evicted from my apartment and moving back with my mom. I was around 30 years old. And at that time, I really have to say I was depressed. I lost hope. I thought, after 20 years of working my butt off, I don't know if you had that experience, and now I have nothing. And it felt like nothing. And I totally played the victim. And then I started to realize that life doesn't end just because you feel like life sucks. So somehow I mustered up the strength to go out and apply for a job as a real estate agent. I thought, that looks like a pretty easy career, because the mind generally wants to do what is easy. And I thought, open house, I saw somebody do that. I go, that looks pretty easy. Maybe I could do that. And I'm tired of working. I can't sustain this working schedule anymore. So I went and applied for a job as a real estate agent. And of course, because I had low self-esteem and I had an identity of a laborer and a carpenter, and I wasn't good with dealing with people, I developed a few little skills from one mentor I met when I was 23, taught me a little bit about being better with people, but I really still lacked confidence, and I did really lousy. And then I met a mentor who saw and noticed my work ethic and my level of curiosity. Jot that down, if you will. Work ethic and level of curiosity. It's something I'm going to help you develop if you choose to, continue to do some education with me. I'm going to show you how I developed it, how other people develop it, how you can develop it, and they're keys to your success. And they're keys to finding a mentor. He noticed my work ethic, and he also noticed that I was teachable. I was willing to learn things. He took me under his arm, and sure enough, he took me from one sale to 32, 45, 65, and then on to 100. And it was amazing because I watched my life changed. I watched somebody say to me, I believe in you. You can do this. And then I started to do it. The difference was that he stayed with me in the field. He was there to answer my questions day in and day out. And if you don't have somebody that's going to do that, like when you were learning to walk, when you were learning to talk, you had somebody every day that was contributing to the mistakes you were making and keeping you on the path of success. Who's doing that for you now? Who's your mentor? Who's the person that knows more than you? Who's the person that's at a higher level in the video game that can get you from level 1 to level 2? You can say, no, careful, you got to do that. No, I wouldn't turn there. No, you got to go in and use that gun here, whatever it is. So I had that person do that for me. I brought the work ethic and the level of the curiosity. Can you bring that? Are you able to? Let me hear a yes. Give me a yes. That's right. Give me a yes on that. That's what you got to bring. I'll be the mentor. I'll show you what my mentors showed me. Now, you see a picture with me with Tony Robbins. I hired him as a coach in my late 30s. And I admired his level of energy and passion, and I wanted to model some of that. If you see in the other picture, it's my good mentor, David Osborne, on the right, who I became friends with about 6 years ago. And we hired Robert Kiyosaki to come speak at one of our events that we had put together. And you'll see later of the transformation that happens in this story. Remember that the words that follow I am follow you. And your identity is the strongest force in your personality is for you to remain consistent with how you see yourself. If you don't change from farm boy to entrepreneur, from farm boy to salesperson in your mind, you'll never match it with your behavior. And I'm going to show you how I did it. And hopefully there'll be some hints in there on how you can do it too. Now look at this. That's me sharing the stage with Robert Kiyosaki. How cool is that? The evolution happened. It took about 3 years from the time I met him first to share the stage with him. And that's what I hope for you, is I can show you that even what you doubt, even what you don't believe, even people that you think are your mentors or idols, that one day you hope to meet, maybe one day you can share the stage with them too. Now, I did go from, this struggling agent to the best agent, and the technology I used to change or redefine myself was the I am statements. I literally learned that you can go from I am a struggling agent in your mind to I am the greatest real estate agent in Montreal, my area. I am lazy to I am excited about life. I am a loser or broke or stupid or too smart or too short to I am capable. I am a gladiator. And I teach this technology. I'm going to touch on it now, but I want you just to understand the concept is that you can redefine yourself. And that's what I did. And that's what changed my life. And I want to share those steps with you. It's very simplistic, but like anything else, you're going to have to learn the 4 stages of learning, which I'll talk about in a minute. So I went from 1 sale my first year onto 100 sales a few years later. And then one day I was sitting in my office and the owner walked into my office. He put his feet up on the table and he said, Rock, I want to sell you the company. And I said, what? He goes, yeah, I want to sell you the company. He goes, do you want to buy it? And I remember thinking to myself, me? Remember, my identity was not that of a businessman. My identity now was just becoming that of an agent. It's like as you ascend Mount Everest, you get to each time you get to a new level, you see the next peak, but you don't see the top from the bottom. So you've got to be willing to get to the next level in the video game, the next level, climbing the mountain, and your own step-by-step transformation. So I had 3 kids under the age of 4. I was just paying back some of the debt that I had accumulated from my divorce and from suing the company that fired me in the airlines. On principal, paying off my father's debt when he died. And I was thinking to myself, first of all, I don't have the money. Second of all, I don't have a broker's license. I'm an agent, and in our area, you have to have a broker's license. I don't have that. Thirdly, I don't know how to run an office. I'm not a business person. So I had bells going off, alarm, telling me you don't know how. Can you relate? There are opportunities that came your way where you said, I don't know how, and you said what? Said no to the opportunity. Well, I'm going to teach you something. Say yes and figure it out later. Richard Branson says, say yes and learn it later. You've got to take your foot off first base to get to second base. And you've got to be willing to jump off the cliff and grow your wings on the way down. And you've got to be willing to say yes to things that are bigger than you and then grow into them. And that's exactly what I did. One of the reasons is I read a book called The Millionaire Next Door, and they talked about taking calculated risks. And I thought, this is a calculated risk. I could probably, if I poured myself into it, figure it out. And that's what you have to ask yourself is, could I figure it out? Like, I don't have all the things, but did somebody else do it? Am I willing to put in the work ethic? And am I willing to, what's the other part? Do you know? Type it in the chat box. 2 things I told you already. Let's see how much you're paying attention to your learning. Number 1, work ethic. Number 2, be passionately curious. Yes? Good job. So I said yes, and I was nervous like crazy, but you know what? I was never more alive in my life. Every day I woke up enthusiastic and excited. And then I went on and I built the office from 94 agents to 270, from selling about $250 million a year of real estate to over $1 billion. And my life transformed. And then in 2006, I went on to sell it, and I wrote a book, and I started to become transformed again. I went from businessman to author and coach. Now, I started a mastermind group about 5 years ago, and this was the vehicle I used to help transform people's lives at an accelerated pace because it's fully immersion. So I want to share some of those stories with you because they're very impactful. There's ways you can read a book and make a minor shift in your life if you're committed. You can go to a seminar, create a shift for a month or two if you're committed, or you can go all in and have a whole new environment. And that's what these people did. And that's the course of action that creates the best change. When I went to Tony Robbins, I signed up for his Platinum Partner Group, and that's what created a lot of change with me because I went to events every month for 19 months, believe it or not. And I knew I was going to go back and see these people. And remember that you will rise to the level of the expectations of your peer group. So when I went home, I actually did the things, I like to say you pay the price of practice in private to perform in public. I did the things that created the new habits and results for me. Now, Diego, against all odds, has no green card, was working as an employee for GM, but he wanted an epic life. And when he met me, he said, you know, teach me what you know. So we got him into passive income vehicles. He now owns 9 properties. He makes about $5,000 a month passively. He's single and therefore that covers all his living expenses. So he is effectively, by our definition, financially free. Pretty cool, right? But what's even cooler is that we got him to be entrepreneurial, and he went from $60,000 a year to $180,000 a year selling real estate, plus his $5,000 a year from his real estate. Plus, when I met him, he stuttered, and he was able to develop the confidence to become a podcaster. And now he helps young people house hack, which is buy houses and rent rooms so that they don't have any living expenses, so they can save money and create passive income vehicles. Cool or cool? These are some of the things that I do to help people grow. Now, Regina, she was working at a job and she wanted to get a better job. She's a single mom. But she didn't have the confidence. So we shared with her some of the things that we teach in the top 10 rules. And she was able to go on and apply for a better job, move to a different part of the States from the north to the south where it's warmer. And she's incredibly excited about the potential of her life. Now, Robert worked at Amazon, and when he was younger, he was abandoned by his mother, and to console himself, when he would be alone, he would eat food. And he ballooned up to somewhere around 300 pounds. And when I met him, you know, he didn't know why he was addicted to food. He just knew that he had trouble with that part of his life. And when we were able to break it down through some of the teachings, we were able to identify that the behavior that happened as a child has now, you know, the trauma then progressed into his life today. And he just continued the habit. Anytime he went home alone from his job, he would just eat. And when we identified that, he was able to make a shift, become more aware of it, get in the gym, work out, and to love himself literally a little bit more, and to lose a whole bunch of weight. Now he's got more to go, but he is well on his way, and he's created a great transformation. I've helped other people lose over 100 pounds and create a great shift. And, you know, it would be nice to say that you could just snap your fingers and have it happen overnight. I'd be lying to you if I was to say that that happens of everybody, but he's definitely going in the right direction. Now, if you're in a relationship, you know how tough those can be. And if you're not in a relationship, you probably know that they're even tougher to stay in and succeed in. 50% of people get divorced, and a whole bunch of people that are married are not really living at a high vibration. Brandy was struggling in her relationship, and I was able to teach her something that she didn't know. Now, I want you to take a notice is that there's things you know that you're not doing that you know you should, but there's things that you don't know that you don't know. Now, Brandy didn't know that her running the house like a drill sergeant and directing and correcting the kids and her husband was creating a distance between her and her husband. Why? Because masculine energy doesn't like to be directed or corrected. She didn't know this. When I was able to point that out to her and she was able to approach it a little more gently, a little bit more with a little more kindness, her husband was able to step into his own power, and the sexual attraction came back, the appreciation came back, and they were able to heal the childhood wounds that they were reliving in the relationship. And today they are in an amazing relationship many years later. How cool is that? So as you go through this, I want you to look at there's some things you probably don't know that when you do know them, you can be able to accelerate towards success. Now check this story out with John Pack. John was working for a friend of mine in one of my mastermind groups. And he was really, he was just trying to get ahead in his life. And he was driving to work and he would pass by this home and it was vacant. And he thought to himself, there's got to be an opportunity there. One day I'm going to buy this house. One day I'm going to buy that house and I'm going to make some money off of it. But for a year and a half, he never took action. Then he joined my mastermind group and he started to set some goals in his groups. And they were saying like, so was it one of your goals? And he told them the story about this house. And so they challenged him to take some action. And lo and behold, it took a few months, but he tracked down the owner. It was an older person. They wanted to get rid of it, but they just procrastinated. He was able to pick it up for like 20 grand and flip it for 45,000, 45,000 and make himself 25,000. How cool is that? Opportunities right there, but not seizing them because you don't have the right environment to encourage you or support you or challenge you to do it. That's a picture of us in Vietnam. He took some of that money and we flew to Vietnam, a group of 20 guys in my mastermind group. And we went and built a school. And that's the kids that were thanking him in this particular case for contributing. Pretty cool story, right? So these are some of the things that you can change. You're going to be the average of the 5 people that you spend time with. So I want you to take a look around at the people you're spending time with right now and say, are these the people that are going to get me to where I want to go? You see, your friends are comfortable with your present, but your mentors are comfortable with your future. And if you don't have somebody that's your mentor, a Jim Rohn, a Tony Robbins, a Deepak Chopra, a Jack Canfield, a Gary Vaynerchuk, people who are charging hard toward a big life, then you're going to be held back by the people around you because it's human nature to stay at the same level as the people around you. You're not going to go to the restaurant and order a $300 bottle of wine and drink it all to yourself while everybody drinks beer. It just doesn't happen. So whatever level they're at, that's the level you're going to stay at unless you decide to make a change. I know when I was 23, I had this mentor that helped me go to a Dale Carnegie course and learn how to be a better effective communicator because I was a little dumbass farm kid. And when I was 30, I met my mentor, Wayne Jordan, who helped me with real estate. And then when I was around 38, I met Tony Robbins. I joined his Platinum Partner Group and it totally transformed my life. I'm still a trainer for him today. About 17 years later, I've done 73 events and continue to grow and learn and contribute in that environment. And when I was around 50, I met one of my business mentors, David Osborne, and I get to fly around in his private jet. So cool things happen when you decide to level up. It is tough to leave people behind, but you got to understand that 80% of the world, have, licked that lollipop of mediocrity. And once you lick it, it seems like you're stuck there forever. So I'm warning you from being in that zone, that friend zone where their life kind of sucks because you won't get out of it. Promise you won't get out of it. Now, let's talk a little bit about what prevents success. And I know that a lot of people don't consciously think about this, but when you identify this and become aware of it, becoming aware is the first step of change, you're going to notice that it's true. So the first thing is that, let's say that you want to write a book, make a product online, invest in real estate, be like Diego or something like that, improve your relationship. The first thing you have to answer in your head is, can I do this? And if the answer is no, I don't know how to write a book or create a product online, then you're going to have to learn how. And then you're going to go to the second question, which is, will it be worth it? Will it be worth it to take that online course? Will it be worth it to create a product? Will it be worth it to write a book? If you don't know what you don't know, you might say yes, but you might also say no. I know that when I was in real estate, I used a technique called farming, which was to take a geographical area and then to drop off things door to door, to call them on a regular basis, take pictures of their homes and give them gifts of that, to give away pumpkins, to do school rallies, garage sales and things, and totally dive into it. Now, guess what? Think about this. I'm a farm boy working 12, 14, 16 hours a day, carpentry, driving a taxi. And now I get to knock on doors, not get dirty, talk to people, and make 10 times what I was making. Was it worth it for me? Yes, because of where I came from. But if you grew up and your parents, coddled you and you were used to not doing chores, it might not be worth it in your mind. And that's one of the reasons people didn't do what I did. It's one of the reasons I became incredibly successful in real estate, is that I came from a very tough place. In life, if you do what is difficult, life will be easy. If you are always looking for what is easy, life will be difficult. So fortunately for me, I had a difficult upbringing. I was willing to do those things, became super successful. But at some point in time, you're going to have to answer these questions, and you're going to have to answer them in the affirmative. Will it be worth it for me to learn how to create a product online? Will it be worth it for me to write my life story? Will it be worth it for me to learn a new skill to get me there? So I'm going to put that in brackets for now, but just watch where I fill in the blanks later as we go. The other thing is that often we don't know. So when I bought the Remax franchise, I didn't know what I didn't know. I just knew that there were things I didn't know, but I brought the two things. What are the two things I brought? Two things you need to bring to everything to be successful. Your work what? Your work ethic, and your what? Your level of curiosity. That I brought. So it doesn't matter that you don't know if you bring those two things, and I'll show you how to develop those. And the other thing that sometimes is in our mind is that we want immediate gratification. We want to have, overnight success. And we know if we look at people, Michael Jackson was not an overnight success. He's somebody that, practiced dancing from the age of 3. Tiger Woods, the same thing. Serena Williams, the same thing. Oprah Winfrey put in a bazillion hours. And we're going to talk about that in the 4 stages of learning. So I'm sorry to break it to you if you don't know this already, is it's going to take some time. Anything worthwhile is going to take time. The road with no obstacles leads to nowhere. And by the way, if you got $10 million tomorrow with no effort, you would not really probably appreciate it. You'd go out after a while, you'd be spending it all over the place, and you wouldn't know how to invest it, and you'd probably faceplant. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you the value of investing in yourself, the value of building yourself, and that those small daily efforts that you think are not enough are going to stack one on the other, and then you're going to create this magnificent success and transform you into a person that say, I can do this. It will be worth it, because I'm going to show you how to create a vision, break it down into goals. So you have setting of your goals as a system to up-level your environment, what the most successful people do with their routines and rituals. And all that clarity is going to create excitement so you can power through the 4 stages of learning. How you doing so far? You learning anything? Is this fun? Is this valuable? Let's move forward, because this is what has changed my life. And the understanding of these pieces are things that are going to enable you to keep on keeping on when that little voice creeps in there and says, I don't feel like it. Will it be worth it? I feel like quitting, and all of that. Or somebody else says, I don't think it's worth it. It won't work. And you buy in to that cesspool of mediocrity, and you get dragged back from your dream and your vision. Now, hey, everybody take a deep breath. Let's get ready for the next stage. You're doing great. You're doing great. And this is one of the things that has allowed me to stop quitting. Now, I'm never a big quitter because I had a good work ethic, but sometimes this awareness really helps me. Now, if you notice at the bottom, we have the competence, and on the left side, we have your consciousness, your awareness. And we want our competence to go up. Yes, we want easy success. Yes, we want mastery. Yes. So in order to get there, we've got to go around from 1, 2, 3 to 4. Here's what happens is when you start off, you don't know what you don't know in anything. You want to write a book, you don't know what you don't know. When I was finishing my book, the last 10% was the hardest. Choosing the cover, the endorsements, the quotes, all those little things. So I didn't know that when I started. I thought the hardest part was going to be writing the book. Riding a bike looks easy. Then you find out pretty hard, and it's damn hard when you fall off and get hurt. Sometimes you don't want to go on again. Driving a car seems easy. But as you get to the second stage and you're in the action, all the pieces you don't know start to hit you physically and mentally and emotionally. And that's when your inner narrative, your inner resolve, the way you speak to yourself, your work ethic, your curiosity start to kick in. Oh my God, this is difficult. Turn the radio down. I don't like it. Oh God, I gotta edit this book. I have to learn a new technology. What? So if you don't have the 6 keys to success to power you through this, you will quit at level 2. If you don't turn your frustration into fascination, you will quit at level 2. You'll look for an easier path. If you're tired of, starting over, you have to stop quitting and understand that level 2 is an area where successful people dig in and they know they're at that stage, and they raise the energy and they raise their passion and they focus on their end result. Then they get to step 3. They qualify to get to step 3 through repetition, through practice, through showing up, through gutting it out. And they start to get a little excited because they figured something out. They can drive and sip a coffee and listen to the radio, and they can get up every morning and write a chapter for their book, and they learn how to type a little bit faster or whatever it is. And then finally, if you do it enough, you get to a stage where your unconscious mind, the same way you walk without thinking, talk without thinking, where you can eat and watch TV and type on your computer, you've gotten to a point where you don't have to think about it anymore. You put your pants on without thinking about it. All of these things is because you've done them what? Over and over and what? Over and what? Over and what? Over again. And that's how you get to a high level of mastery. So I wanted you to understand that so that you can understand when you get tripped up, how you can transform your behavior into that of a winner. You go from not knowing how to drive a car to completely mastering it because you embrace the process, you focus beyond the problems and understand that you got to just keep on keeping on. And you literally turned your frustration, that piece where, you didn't feel like doing it. You didn't feel like, typing more and learning how to type without cheating and shortcutting, but you stuck with it. And now you type 90 words a minute. Cool or cool? So let me talk to you about the 6 keys to success. This is the part that really excites me because this is really the laws, the principles, the keys to the vault that are going to unlock that potential I talked about before, is where if you're not hitting all your markers, the things you want to do, then there's something missing. So remember, I was a farm boy working really hard, but only getting to level 1 in the video game. Then I got more education with Dale Carnegie courses. I learned how to deal better with people. I got some mentoring. I learned how to transform into being a salesperson. I learned how to handle objections. I learned how to create rapport. And then I started to get really, really good. I learned the systems from other people on how to market to people. I didn't know any of this. I wasn't born with any of that, but I learned it all. And then I was able to lock it in and unlock my potential. And then I was able to buy the company. So the first thing that all successful people share, all successful people, whether it be Oprah Winfrey or whether it be Tiger Woods or Michael Jordan or the Serena Williams sisters or Ellen or Gates or Jones, Jobs or Elon Musk or Zuckerberg or Bieber, they all have a burning desire. And that burning desire is to create something, experience something, or do something. Elvis, it was music. With Ellen, it was to make people laugh. Justin Bieber, it was to play music. But they poured their heart and soul in. And you can see that they had a keen desire to spend countless hours at their craft. And those countless hours, as depicted by The Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell, once you get past the 10,000 hours, you hit a level of genius. The cells in your brain start to see neural pathways that didn't exist before and that other people don't see. This is why Wayne Gretzky could pass the puck to where other people didn't see it, why Tiger Woods is able to pull off shots that other people didn't see, and Michael Jordan, etc. Are you willing to invest that many hours? And by the way, if you don't know what you have a burning desire about, I'm going to talk about that later. But if you don't have one, you'll never go through the 4 stages of learning, and you'll never get to a point where you can add so much value that people will highly compensate you. And that's going to be a problem. So your identity might be, I don't know what the purpose of my life is. I don't know, I just don't have the energy, the effort to put into it. So I'm going to invite you to say this: I am unstoppable. Go ahead, say it, repeat it, wherever you are. I am unstoppable. How does that feel to say, I am unstoppable? Remember a time when you were unstoppable. How did you stand? How did you breathe? How did that feel to be unstoppable? There was a time when you could not be stopped, What if we could repeat that pattern, bring that pattern into your life, and make it so it's duplicatable in the times that count? Where do you want to be unstoppable right now? So go ahead and jot that down, and then to say this over again. I am unstoppable when it comes to learning marketing. I am unstoppable with my workouts. I am unstoppable with my diet. I am unstoppable in my relationships. And then start to develop a new identity around that. I'm going to show you how you can stack and pack these together in a way that's going to make you feel totally unstoppable. Does that make sense? Very cool. Very cool. All right, everybody take a breath. I'm going to just grab a sip of water here. And we're going to go on to number 2. Now, what did all those people I shared talk? I talked about Jordan, Tiger, Ellen, Jobs, Gates, Elon Musk, Zuckerberg, Bieber. What do they all have? They put in so many hours in something that they have what we call specialized knowledge. Napoleon Hill talks about this in his book. If you want to be a lawyer, a doctor, a dentist, somebody that has a unique skill, then you've got to invest time to learn about it so that you have more knowledge than the next person. So your ability to capture the lesson like you're learning here and apply it at a level of mastery, going through the 4 stages of learning, will determine your fate. What am I great at? I'm great at helping people get unstuck, overcoming their fears, pushing through and identifying what are the key elements to personal power. Now, you may learn how to be a welder or a plumber or something technical, an engineer in school, but you probably didn't learn how to communicate with yourself better, do a budget, master money, know how to invest it and create passive income, communicate with your spouse, the 5 love languages, raise your children, handle your own fear, doubts, and worries. But all of those things are things I've studied and has enabled me to go out there and have success in the world. And that's why I'm so passionate. That's my specialized knowledge. If you are stuck, not going where you want to, that's what I can provide for you. That's the problem I can solve for you. You get stuck, I guarantee you I can help you get unstuck. There's no question in my mind. So if you're not pushing through to the next level, I'm your guy. What is your specialized knowledge? What is the thing that allows you to be paid enormously? I get paid $1,500 an hour to coach people because people are stuck, they're in pain, and they're like, please, Rock, I can't see what I can't see. I don't know what I don't know. Even the greatest athletes, Roger Federer or Tiger Woods or LeBron James, have coaches. People that watch them while they're performing and then give them feedback on tiny little tweaks they can make. Who's watching you and who's giving you feedback? Who's the person that's helping you get better? If you don't have somebody, why are you not willing to invest in yourself? Are you not worth it? Or do you have a money mindset scarcity model where I can't afford to hire a coach at $60 or $100 or $200 or $1,000 an hour? I hired Tony Robbins and gave him $100,000. I was so hungry for success. I hired Butch Harmon and for my coaching game, and he brought me from an 8 handicap to a 3 handicap. I paid him $2,000 for 20 minutes. I spent over $1 million on personal development. I've hired people $20,000 to teach me to be a better speaker. And I continue. I have a speaking coach right now, tweaking. I have a publicist. I'm constantly pouring into myself. If you're not pouring into yourself, Mark Twain said that the best investment is to take your wallet and pour it into your brain. If you're not, guaranteed, you're not living into your potential. That's for sure. And if you're trying to do it alone because you're afraid that people are going to see that you don't have what it takes, trust me, I was there. That doesn't work either. So if you look at that circle, what do I love? What does the world need? They don't need 8-track cassettes. Those don't sell anymore. You need you can solve a problem that the world needs, like, yoga and meditation is a big trend right now. Technology and learning how to assimilate technology, problems with ADD and things like that. Find out what the world needs. Find out what you can get paid for. Find out what you're good at, what you love. When you meld all those together, you're going to have a mission and a purpose and a vision and a vocation that you can monetize and enjoy. And that's something that will help you discover with our mastermind group, if that's something that you want to partake in. So This is where we are going to encourage you to develop a little bit the fact that you are passionately curious. I was actually downstairs at the hotel I'm at right now, and Gary Vaynerchuk, if you know who that is, was walking by. And I had this little fear of introducing myself, and you know how that goes when you see a celebrity of bothering them when they're on their time off. But then I thought, you know what, just be passionately curious. So as he walked by, he grabbed his coffee, walked by, went, "Hey, Gary V," and I held my arms up in the air. And, you know, he came over, he was really friendly. And I just said, "I'm just, you know, so curious. What are you doing here? And how are things? What you're working on?" And we connected and we had a great conversation. He gave me his email. He said, "Hook me up, whatever you need. I'll try to help you out." Be passionately curious. But the reason I was able to do it is because I've conditioned that inner voice in myself over years that when the opportunity comes, say yes, figure it out, take action, be curious. And so I ask you, where can you apply that now? Where can you be more curious? So go ahead and say it out loud. I am passionately curious. I am passionately curious. Type it in the chat box. Be moved by it and start to create the shift. Yes, you can be an amazing student. All right. Number three. Now, this is an interesting thing, mastering decision makers. Decision making. Did you know that winners make decisions rapidly and stick with them? And struggling people, what I call losers, just to kind of define that for you, make them after a long period of time, and then they change them and they weaken them. Does that make sense? So they become weaker because they keep on focusing on the doubt of whether they're making the right decision or not. So what I encourage you to do is I encourage you to stay with the decision you're making, but I'm going to tell you and explain to you why you won't make a decision. And the simple reason is this. We measure our success mostly by our performance in life, or what we succeed at, what we achieve. And socially, with social media and everything today, we're all checking and comparing with other people. True or true? You look on there and you go, "Oh my God, that person's going on these cool vacations. They look so fit. I'm nothing. I got to go out there." And sometimes it demotivates us. So then we look at, well, if I do this and I fail, I'm going to look bad. So we get shrunk into a comfort zone of trying to stay stuck, not doing anything that's going to cause us to fail. Does that make sense? So the winner comes along and makes decisions that serve them. The struggling person makes less and less decisions and hesitates. So the mastery of the decision-making comes from changing the perspective, and I'm going to give you the gift. Number one is there's no winning and losing. Change it to winning and learning. The baseball player can miss 7 times because he doesn't focus on the miss. He convinces himself he learned something from it and he'll be better next time. Does that make sense? The hockey player misses 9 out of 10 times. He doesn't focus on being a loser because he misses. He focuses on the fact that he's getting closer to that next time he's going to score. So I want to invite you to start making decisions that are going to cause you to either win or to learn. If you're going to learn and you understand that life is learning and you're going to push yourself to the edge of learning each time, you can measure yourself like enlightened people do based on the amount of engagement you had in your life. I engaged with Gary V in the moment because I was willing to be embarrassed, humiliated, rejected by him, but I was willing to take the chance, and it ended up being a winning experience. I have a picture with him, had a good chat, and connected with him. Does that make sense? So you've got to be willing to take those chances. And the reason you don't make those decisions is because you're afraid of looking bad, and you're afraid that that container of self-esteem is going to be depleted by chalking up another failure, when in fact the opposite happens. Your self-esteem goes up by doing things that are difficult, things that you didn't do before. So this is what we call reframing a behavior, which allows you to get to a situation where choices are tough, say yes, and figure it out later. And then you'll be able to do like I did, is buy the company you were afraid to buy and step into it. Sign up for a course that you think might not work and figure it out by applying yourself with a good work ethic and by being passionately curious. In a moment, I'm going to invite you to join me in a journey for more additional information, and you'll have a chance to make that decision. Watch your own decision-making skills. See if you hesitate. What is your nature? What is your programming giving you right now? Is it giving you that gift of saying yes and stepping into it and reaching out to people? Or do you hesitate, procrastinate, and pull back? You want to start to overcome that, then you got to redefine yourself. You got to reprogram yourself. So may I invite you to type in the chat box, I am committed. I am committed to my success. I am committed to an epic life. I am committed to growing. I am committed to being the best version of myself. Where can you apply this now that will make a transformation? And as you say it over and over and over and over again, like I did, saying I'm the greatest real estate agent in Montreal, soon your own brain will start to believe it. And how cool will that be? All right, we're getting there. You're doing awesome. I know this is pretty long. I hope you're still hanging in there because this is really, really good stuff. This is what helped me get to where I wanted to go. Now, number 4 is interesting because it's all about self-discipline. And Aristotle said that we are what we repeatedly do. So excellence then is not an act, but a habit. Anybody can work out for one day or for a week, maybe even a month. But it is the act of being committed to doing it over and over again that creates your identity and results long term. Anybody could do a budget for a week, but get them to do it over and over again consistently. That's what creates repeatable results and creates something that will make discipline easy. If you're struggling from discipline, it's probably because you haven't yet learned how to inspire and motivate yourself. You don't have an obsession, something that is going to get you off the couch or get you away from junk food and sculpting your body. You probably don't have some specialized knowledge that you've curated and that you can share with other people. If you had something that you were so good at, you'd want to do it every day. Yes or yes? I don't think that any major great athlete struggles to get out onto the field because they know they're going to perform well and they love it. Singers, you know, they sing the same song for decades and they don't get tired of it because they get a great result. So if you're on the couch with the remote, you're not in the shape you want, it's because you don't have those 3 first elements, which is the decision-making capacity, because you've learned to, you know, fall in love with learning and going to your learning's edge. You haven't been really good at, you know, making decisions and the discipline that goes with that. And you don't have specialized knowledge or an obsession. And we're going to teach you how to build those out by being in the right ecosystem. These people stuck with the 4 stages of learning and pushed their way through it because they hung on to a compelling vision and future. Does that make sense? So we want to help you do that, but it's not enough just to have the vision. Tiger had his father pushing him, and sometimes people came like myself from a painful upbringing that drove. It was easy for me to knock on doors when it was snowing compared to digging ditches and driving a cab 12 hours a day. Does that make sense? And Bruce Lee was, you know, able to practice the same kick or punch tens of thousands of times until he mastered it. And of course, Michael Jordan is well known for not making his high school varsity team. And he came back with a vengeance and showed up early in practices and was the last one there. And through repetition and powering through the 4 stages of learning, he became successful. All of that happened because they had a peer group and an environment or something pushing them from behind. If you lack a difficult childhood like I had, you didn't have it really tough, you had it easy, then you got to put yourself into an environment like what I can share with you with our mastermind group, and we will help hold that container for you. In the meantime, your statement is, I am consistent, I am consistent, I am consistent. Be consistent, have the discipline, and you'll see yourself flying toward better results. Just ask yourself, where can I apply this now? Where can I apply this now? And let's see if there's something you can do that will make a shift right away. Sound cool? All right, you're doing great. Take another sip of water or a sip of your tea or something like that. And let's go on to number 5, manage your mindset. Now, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think about in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. You know, everything in life is first created in our mind. We visualize things, we imagine things, and then we attract them. I had a friend of mine who we were doing a special training on relationships, and the wife was talking about the fact that her husband fills up her gas tank all the time. She never has to. And he's done this for 6 years. And this woman on the course was thinking that'd be really nice for my husband to do that. Now she's been married for 17 years. He never did that. She held the thought in her mind thinking that'd be really nice. And the very next day he came up to her and he said, honey, why don't I take care of filling up the gas tank for you? Now you may think that's really weird, but I don't. I believe that what you hold consistently in your mind's eye, what you believe you deserve, you're worthy of, you manifest. I believe I've manifested everything. I have a lot of great things in my life, but I'm still working on, enhancing that so I can attract and feel like I deserve more. So that whole piece about managing your mindset, I mean, I could do a seminar for 3 days on that. We do some for 3 hours. But like attracts like, and what you have to understand is that the piece I'll give you here, and we expand upon it in the top 10 rules, is change your words. Words create your world. And if you are saying, I am a loser, or I am broke, how about, I am loving and I am brilliant? You can actually change it. You might not feel it initially. I know that. It's going to feel fake a little bit. But I'm telling you, change the words and you change your world. And that's where I want you to start in this area and get excited about what is possible and what can happen. Cool? So remember, your mind can't hold two thoughts at the same time. So you are the author of the conversation and the inner narrative you're having in your mind. So I'm going to recommend that you start with, I am grateful. And then just add something to it. I'm grateful for my heart that beats 100,000 times a day. I'm grateful for, these challenges I'm having right now. I'm grateful for the bed I get to sleep in. And do your best to feel the feelings. Because sometimes when people do that, they're like, yeah, well, you know what? That's good, but my life sucks. Well, watch the words you're using that are bringing you back into that cesspool of mediocrity and bringing you back into the dungeon, bringing you back into the sludge. It's up to you to work your way out of that sludge by languaging your way out of it. I recommend you say, I am grateful, and then list things and watch how, you feel better after you say that. Cool? Now, the last key that all successful people have is they have standards. And they have higher standards than other people. They take better care of their body because they understand that energy is the edge. They take better care of their communication skills because they understand that their life is about relating to other people. They have strong willpower because they have an environment that allows them to step up and be challenged and to work well. I remember when I was in Asia recently, I was renting a place that was close to a bunch of Russian nationals that were swimming, and I was swimming in the lane beside them. And I got to tell you that my swimming got better because I was just in their proximity. I could model them and watch them go. There was no wastage happening with them. They weren't mucking about. They were focused and they were on task. So your environment is something that's going to affect your life more than you may possibly know. There is nothing more powerful than that. About 6 years ago, I started a tribe called Go Abundance. And it was a tribe for healthy, wealthy, generous people that choose to lead epic lives and don't apologize for being awesome. How cool is that? That's the statement that we came up with after spending 2 days up at a retreat brainstorming what we really wanted to stand for. My life has transformed so much since then. I've started 15 new businesses. I've shared the stage with Robert Kiyosaki. I got to meet Robert Herjavec and all kinds of cool things because my environment, I consciously chose to change it. I could probably talk about that all day long, but just look around at your friends and think, who are the people that I'm listening and learning from? What are they talking about? Are they talking about dreams and goals and how to create passive income vehicles? Or are they talking about how life is difficult and how they're tired and things aren't working out for them? If you think it doesn't affect you, try being in an elevator with somebody that farts and not being affected by it. It's osmosis. Osmosis is something where something passes from one medium to another without its permission. If you're in a fish tank and the fish tank is dirty, the fish will get dirty. Take the dirty fish out of a dirty fish tank and put it in a clean fish tank, and it will start to get clean because its environment is clean. So you are probably in a toxic, negative environment because the world is like that. 95% of our thoughts are toxic and negative because our brain operates that way, uses fear to protect you and keep you alive, which is good But when you put yourself in an environment, if you were to hang around with me for a long time, or Bill Gates, or high-level athletes, they have a different way of speaking, being, rituals, and habits. And that's what I want to invite you to consider. There's a picture of me with my buddies in his private jet. Pretty cool, right? A little farm boy in me never thought I'd be in a private jet, but I dreamed of it, and I started to nurture that thought. And then sure enough, I got invited on there. And the picture you see at the bottom is all my friends at a $12 million home we rented in Mexico. We do that every year. We get together, we mastermind together because we want to bathe ourselves in a strong environment so that we get used to being around success. So repeat after me. I am a product of my environment. I am a product of my environment. And as you say that, start to become, I always want to say, you want to become a little pissed off that your environment isn't better than it is. Clean up your car, clean up your house, make it something that excites you to be around, make it visually stimulating. Add a new badass person that has higher standards than you. If you are the smartest, or if you are the most energetic person in the room, you're in the wrong room. You've got to be willing to step up. Now, I know it can be scary because you're used to your friends accepting you, but I'll tell you what, I got a little charge for meeting Gary Vaynerchuk. You want to be around other people that are smarter than you. And if, by the way, if you don't, you're listening to me and you're like, well, no, I don't want to do that, then you're probably not ready to step up and be impacted and step into your potential the way that I'm going to invite you to do so. And that's okay. Not everybody's ready. But if that's something that makes sense to you and you're like, yeah, but where do I go, Rock? Just keep on listening. All right. Now, and this is the part that really excites me because I'm going to give you an invitation to continue learning with me. And if you're listening for this long, I hope that you felt some really good quality value, because the 6 keys to success are what have really, after 40 years of looking back, I continue to look back and they'll say, you know, listen, I've got to have a burning desire to learn something. I needed to have a burning desire to put this webinar together. It took a lot to put all the thoughts and the slides and to do this and to get to a place, you know, it took a burning desire. I needed to learn some specialized knowledge on how to market, etc. That weren't always things that I love to do, but the result is I want to create transformation in the world. I want to help people get out of pain. I needed to have the ability to make decision after decision after decision, and sometimes risk making a bad decision. And of course, you know, I needed to have the discipline to do it when I needed to do it. And I needed to manage my mindset around the trial and error, and of course, raise my standards and put myself around people that could help me do this. There's a lot of people that help me do this to get it to a place where it's going to have an impact on you. Make sense? So the principles are tried and true, but now how do you hone them? How do you get them to the next level? Well, you got to understand that wealth creates options, and the amount of money you have today is based on your programming and your blueprint. And I want to give you a sneak peek at how you can level up your blueprint, how you can go from trading time for money to leveraging yourself and having money come in day after day. Is that something you'd like? If so, say yes in the chat box. Say you want some passive income vehicles. I have 36 of them. I can show you how to create more, but we have to get closer and have a conversation. And the way I look at it is life is too short to not live it with a purpose to it, and feeling like you're making a difference, like you're evolving your soul, and that you're leaving a legacy, or you're making a dent in the universe, and you're helping other people. It's actually been proven that when you help somebody, you get endorphins that feel good. And when that person allows themselves to be helped, they feel good too. And even when somebody else witnesses that, they feel good as well. And that's why I guess I'm addicted to this work, even though I don't have to do it, is because when I get to hear your success story, when I get to hear that I've helped over 40 people in the last 2.5 years become whole life millionaires and get out of the rat race and get out of their trapped life and live wherever they want in the world and travel and be free and to do cool things with their family, that makes me feel awesome. So I do it a little bit selfishly. The next thing is to embrace the habits that birth growth and success. And the top 10 rules that I'm going to share with you are what I learned in coaching people for the last 2 decades, is that if you're not doing these, what I call rules, you're breaking the rules of success, you're going to have pain. If you're breaking the rules of success, you're going to not be accelerating toward the results that you want. So the first thing that we say is you've got to make a decision right now that you want to raise your standards. Are you willing to do that? If you're willing to raise your standards, you want more in your life, you want more love, more energy, more passion, more success, more money, more freedom, less stress would be raising your standards, manage your mindset better. If that's what you want, then let's go. Let's dive into it. But let's encapsulate that in one big lump sum. If you were to live your dreams, if you could create what you wanted, live the life of your dreams, go back to when you were a little kid, the things that you wanted to create, that you've given up on, that you were beaten out of you by society, because we are told like 100,000 times negativities by the time we're adults. You can never do that. That won't work. That won't amount to much. Careful, watch out, stop, don't. You're too small, you're too short, you're too quiet, you're too noisy, you're too ADD, blah, 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 blah. Let's bring the dream back. Would it be worth, like some people went into college and they spent $100,000 on their education or $200,000 because they had a dream of being a lawyer, a doctor, a dentist, or making a difference in the world. And they spent all that money because they were associated to their dream. Fair enough? If you could take a course right now that would lead you to that, what would it be worth? How much would you spend to unlock the potential, to understand the rules of success and be able to apply them consistently using technology from the comfort of your home? Because I'll tell you what, you could come to my seminars. You could hire me as a coach individually. We could do this one-on-one. And you're going to see that it would cost you a fair bit of money. But because our beliefs, those things we talked about before, remember, I can't do it, it won't be worth it, it'll take too long, they feed your actions. You haven't yet taken the action that fulfill your potential. So we want to choose other people's beliefs. My belief in you, model other people's actions so it now starts to nurture your beliefs. Maybe you've heard about Roger Bannister and the 4-Minute Mile. Back in the 50s, he believed, another person, that he could run the 4-minute mile. And everybody else didn't believe it. And they all said, you can't, you can't, you can't. You're going to die trying. But he believed it. He nurtured his belief. And then he went out and did it. And guess what? It gave permission for other people to do it that didn't believe it. And 23 people did it the next year. And now people in high school are knocking it off. You need some evidence that what you think you can't do, you can do. If I went from farm boy to financially free, if I'm dyslexic and not good at spelling, I've written 3 books. If I was afraid of public speaking, but today I'm a public speaker and earn a living doing it. I wasn't a coach. Who was I to tell anybody to do anything? But I learned from other people, and I studied and modeled and read books, etc. And now, I'm a coach and a trainer and a businessman, and I promote other people's products, and I'm entrepreneurial, and I own real estate, and I run real estate offices. If I can do it, then who else can do it? Are you willing to go through the 4 stages? Do you understand them now? You got to change your what? Your frustration into what? Do you remember? In zone 2, to fascination. And you do that by bringing your work ethic and your what? Your level of curiosity. You see how this all starts to fit together? There's just pieces to the formula that will allow you to have success. You might think that you can't do it. You might have evidence from the past that you couldn't do it, but it doesn't mean that you can't do it going forward. So if I can help you develop a burning desire by bringing the pieces together and putting you into the right environment, would that help you? Yes or yes? If we can get you on a track where you're developing specialized knowledge and you're doing something that other people don't know how to do, would that help you as well? Of course it would. What about mastering decision-making? What about getting better at making the small decisions? What if we gave you some tricks on how to do that and show you how to do that throughout the program? Would that be helpful as well? Cool. What about developing self-discipline? Getting you the rituals and habits that enhances your self-discipline. I'm going to show you how to do that in the top 10 rules as well. Now, the big one is managing your mindset. If you ever felt tired, not in the mood, somebody gave you an opportunity, you said, no, I don't want to. And then later on you thought, oh my God, I missed out on that. That's happened to me a lot. Have you ever had that where In the world today, you turn on your phone and you see something on social media, or somebody blocks you on Instagram, or something happens, and then you have a stimulus and you have a response to it. You're pissed off, you're disappointed, you're upset. You're upset for a day, half a day. You're in an argument with somebody because you saw that your girlfriend had a conversation on Instagram with somebody else and you attached a meaning to it. We are meaning-making machines. I'm going to show you how to master your mindset, how to become a gladiator in the world that is offering all kinds of stimulus to you, and then change your meaning-making machine. Would that be valuable? And of course, we're going to have a conversation about raising your standards, defying the things that have held you back, and setting a whole new pathway through your belief system that will create massive transformation. If I can do all that, or I should say rather, when I can do all that, what would that be worth to you? What would it be worth to you? Tell me what it would be worth. Jot it down in the chat box. Yes, jot it down in the chat box. So, here are some people that have had some success with the top 10 rules. So Brian now runs a very successful charity, and he's a guy who came into our group and he just jumped on the education. He actually was able to benefit from some budgeting, building his net worth, become conscious of passive streams of income, and really felt that he was able to master his own mindset and take new action. Now, Kevin was a real estate agent. He was able to triple his sales. He was able to go out and improve his health. He was a wrestling coach. He was able to contribute some of the mindset pieces to the people on his team. I mean, he just had a huge impact in his life. But one of the most profound stories is Amar. This guy is a salesperson selling basements in Toronto, Canada. And, you know, just by doing the top 10 rules, in fact, listening to videos and rereading them and writing them out and doing his little rituals in the morning that we teach you, he was able to lose 20 pounds, stop smoking, stop drinking, met his fiance, and he was able to outsell the 4 salespeople in his team or competition, if you will, his business, and become the top salesperson. Cool. All that from the top 10 rules. And then he enrolled his mother into the top 10 rules, and she's crushing it too. So this is the basic, key here, is that your environment is stronger than willpower. So if you don't change your environment, then you're going to find that you won't change your results. You really won't. You might for a while. You might go to an event. I've seen people go to the Tony Robbins event, and I've seen them go home full of hope, and I've seen them come back 2 years later with absolutely nothing changed. So one of the things that we have is we have this ability to change your environment through the use of technology. And you could come and get, like I said to you before, you could come and learn the top 10 rules one-on-one with me, come to one of my seminars. We'll activate you that way. And I will, burn a new path with you. And we'll show you why these are principles, and that if you break these rules, you're going to suffer. You're going to have a holdback to your potential. But due to technology, you can get all of these top 10 rules delivered to you in your inbox, listen to the videos, learn online, and create massive breakthroughs. You don't have to come to the seminar. You don't have to fly and rent hotel space. You don't have to do any of that. You can actually just do it online and create the transformation in your world in a way that's going to be super, super cool. How does that sound? Does that sound super cool? I hope so. So if it does, then say yes. If it does, then let me tell you a couple more things that you're going to get from the top 10 rules. So you're going to learn about morning and evening rituals that will empower you to win the day. You're going to learn the 5-step goal setting technique that only 3% of the population are learning, or I should say are doing. And you're going to watch it empower you and have you tap into what we call the RAS, the reticular activating system, on a consistent basis. You're going to discover what your gifts are. In rule number 3, we take you through a process so that you can learn what your natural tendencies are. Maybe you have the gift of what we call administration, where you're really good with Excel spreadsheets, etc. And you're going to stop punishing yourself from being that nerd in front of the computer. Or if you don't have that, you're going to stop punishing yourself from trying to do it and master it and delegate it to somebody that has that gift. Free yourself and empower somebody else. Maybe you're going to discover you have the gift of craftsmanship or hospitality, and you're going to be able to lean into that. I had a friend of mine that was 3 sisters, and every year they would change who would do Thanksgiving at the house. One of them loved it every year. The other 2 dreaded it. And the reason they dreaded it was not their gift of hospitality. When they did the Sacred Gifts course that we teach you in number 3, is they were able to relieve themselves. They do it every year at the girl's house that likes to do it. And the other 2 are supporters. So they bring over, part of the meal, and they support with cleaning up and, setting the table. But the orchestrator of it all is the person who has the gift, and everybody wins. So you're going to realize that you're going to free yourself from pain that you're needlessly causing yourself trying to do things that you were taught in school. Oh, you're bad at math? Take this tutoring lesson. Forcing people to do things they're not good at. We're going to give you permission to live into your gifts. How cool is that? How about learning how to focus better? With the world where we're so distracted, why not learn how to focus better? How about the 6 steps to motivate yourself? I'll show you what we call the high step, the acronym for getting yourself to take action when you don't feel like it. You're not in the mood. How cool would it be to help you level up your discipline by having access to these tools? How about focusing on increasing your net worth? We have people that have joined our group that went from $30,000 in debt to $1.3 million in 2.5 years. Now, the top 10 rules is only a 90-day challenge. It's the beginning of a journey into our ecosystem if you want, but you got to start where you want to start. And these are some of the things that will increase your ability to create wealth in your life by being conscious of it. What about if you could reframe things when they went badly? When I lost all my hair when I was 42, something called alopecia, I got freaked out. I thought I was dying of cancer. And I couldn't function for weeks until I realized that it was just a disease, an autoimmune disease. And then I asked myself this better question, and we're going to teach you that you can reframe yourself and how to condition that in by asking powerful questions. I just said, what's great about this? Well, I'll never have another bad hair day in my life, and I can spend money instead of on shampoo and haircuts on massages. And I turned around my ability to take a negative into a positive. I'm going to show you how to master that over and over and over again so that you become a champion, and that you turn those losses into winnings or learnings, and watch stress peel back from your life, anxiety peel back from your life. It's super, super cool. We'll teach you that technique as well. And finally, to give you the mindset of somebody that can make it happen no matter what by being committed and creative. So there's so much packed into this course that if you could have access to this, it'll literally transform your life. And we have hundreds and hundreds of people who have done it before you, and thousands of people that are benefiting from this technology of redefining themselves, through the concepts of Goalcast that I talk about in that video. Now, what are you missing out on? What do you not know that you don't know? Do you want to grab life big? And can we teach you how to discover some of the concepts of the whole life millionaire? Is it valuable for you to go into a supportive, interactive, encouraging, challenging community? Is that something that you think would be supportive and make a difference for you? What about learning the methods of maintaining a positive attitude using empowering concepts? How valuable would that be? So for me, it was decades of studying what worked and what didn't work. And having that detailed step-by-step process that allowed me to help people get to a place where they can have transformation. And that's what I want to help you with. So there's no question. Would you agree that successful people, they have habits that are successful and traits that are successful? They value things that serve them, that don't bog them down. They've developed a belief system that works for them, such as when I'm committed and creative, I could achieve anything, versus that'll never work. And we'll show you how to do that too. And we'll give you all the systems of successful people. Now, if that isn't worth $1 bazillion, I don't know what is, because this is really the inner makings. What's invisible is far more important than what's visible. What's on the inside of you, your inner narrative and conversation, is going to affect your life for the rest of your life. And if it isn't where you want it to be, then you probably could do with an upgrade. Does that make sense? But you know what? You still may have a little voice that says, oh my God, but what if it doesn't work? And what if it isn't worth it? And I can't afford it. And I can't afford $15,000 to fly around and get all this education. Besides that, I don't have the time to apply anything, Rock. I'm already busy enough. I've bought things before and then I didn't follow through on them. I'm a procrastinator and I just don't think it's for me. I'm just happy where I am. Is that really true though? So what we do is we have 100% money back guarantee. Why? Because don't count on my word. Don't believe me. Go out there and show yourself that you can do it. And if you can't, and if it doesn't work, then maybe it's not meant to be, it's not the right time. But don't let the fear of not knowing stop you. That's why we have a 100% guarantee. You can actually, buy the course, use it for 29 days, and then get your money back. If you want to go that route, maybe that's something that you need to do at this point in time. Borrow the money, and I'm not suggesting you do that, but you could do that. I'm so convinced that once you get in and you see the value, you're going to go, oh my God, I didn't know what I didn't know. I love being around these people because that's the result we've had with other people. You've got to get access to the top 10 rules, which is a value of $10,000 if you were to get it from me directly, spoon-fed to you. I'm going to put you into a Facebook group that's dedicated to this for 90 days. It's a supportive environment, and you're going to learn that people are going to be a major contributor to your success or to your failure. Does that make sense? So that group alone, the value being around those people is $5,000. What is it worth to redefine yourself? You can click the link below and you can sign up right now. Well, you might want to know what it's worth. Well, I'll tell you what, I think it's worth at least $15,000. But guess what? Due to technology, you don't have to pay the $15,000. You, in fact, if you paid $7,500 and it gave you a dream life and it got you out of feeling anxious and stressed and pissed off and frustrated, and it opened up the door to you mastering your mindset and creating massive wealth and becoming financially free and then creating a legacy for your family, would it be worth $7,500? Of course it would. But guess what? Due to technology, you only have to invest $595. That's it. $595. No, not even that. Not even that. Guess what? I'm going to give you the top 10 rules, the rules of success. And if you break these rules, you suffer, you have pain. I'm going to give you the top 10 rules, the pieces of the puzzle that allowed me to have massive success. I'm going to give those to you. The entire 6 hours, downloadable documents, right? And help you redefine yourself for how much? Not even $595, for only $297. That's it. $297. Go ahead, click the link, make it happen, say yes, figure it out later. And guess what? That's not all. These lovely people are people that have benefited from the top 10 rules, and I want you as a bonus to have a free session with them. You're going to have a coaching call with them for half an hour. You're going to learn what they learned. You're going to learn if the journey is true. Validate it, verify it before your 30 days is up, and see what is the effect. Remember the Roger Bannister story? If you're skeptical and you don't believe it, I've purposely put this in here so you can talk to somebody else and say, tell me about your experience. What did you get? What did you learn? How is this affecting your life? So you can start to develop the belief. Does that make sense? And then if they don't give you a compelling future, get out before the 30 days is up if you want to, right? But I bet you that you'll find that they'll give you a perspective that you might not know. Remember, there's things you don't know. So now it's up to you. That part I can't do for you. You got to bring the work ethic and the what? The level of curiosity. That's your job. I can only give you the formula and introduce you to the people that have had success before you. So guess what? If you're in a situation where maybe you're really stuck, you're really struggling, you can't afford the $297, we're going to allow you to make it in 2 installments of $167. Cool. You're going to get the top 10 rules. You're going to get a free coaching session. You're going to get a 100% money back guarantee. And you're going to be able to take action immediately. You just have to click the link below and we'll get you started right away. Does that make sense? But guess what? For the first 10 people that sign up for the first 10 people that sign up, I'm going to give you something extra. And the reason I want to give you something extra is because one of the biggest comments I hear from people is they're overwhelmed, they're bogged down, they just don't have enough time. Now, for the 15 years, I've been using something called the Sunday System for Success. It's a 7-step process that I use to plan my week. And in that planning, I'm able to create efficiency and effectiveness beyond the average person. The comments we get from people is that it saves them 5 to 10 hours a week. I want you to think about how much money you make in an hour. And let's just use the bottom rung of 5 hours. If I was to save you 5 hours in a week and you were to make only $10 an hour, that would be $200 a month. In a month and a half, you would save yourself the $300. For the rest of your life, you would be way ahead. Just that alone, on the lower scale at $10 an hour, and I doubt you're making $10 an hour. Think about the leverage you can get from this. Think about the importance of learning something you don't know. I spent my life studying people and taking time management courses and putting together in a package that is digestible. And the most important part of the Sunday System for Success is the reasons why people don't plan. There's a million ways that you can lose weight out there. Is it because the system for losing weight and staying in shape is so complex nobody can do it? No. There's gyms everywhere. There's diets everywhere. It's on every corner. There's time management courses everywhere. But guess what? There is a belief system behind why you don't plan. And I'm going to reveal for you the 5 most popular reasons why people don't plan in advance. And when I unlock those, you can move past them. The same way Robert did with his weight when he understood that he was eating because of an association to a childhood behavior when he was abandoned. You're going to learn there's a reason why you don't plan, and it's costing you your life. So I'm going to give you this as a bonus because I don't want you to miss your life, and I want you to be efficient and effective as possible. What I want is not your money, but your success story. I want you to send me an email, a text, post on Instagram or on Facebook that my life was changed because of Rock Thomas's systems. And that fuels my soul. That kicks in some oxytocin or some adrenaline. I don't know what the drug is, but it's a natural high for me. And that's what I want from you. Does that make sense? So listen, you don't have to be good to start, but you do have to start to be good. And I want to leave you maybe with, a couple of thoughts. Number one is that Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, which was written almost 100 years ago, roughly. He was commissioned to study successful people for 25 years. And they really, really learned that successful people make decisions quickly. So if you're hesitating, I get that. It's normal for people that are struggling. This is the moment for you to say yes and figure it out later. Just jump in and get wet, because we're going to redefine you the same way we talked about with the 6 keys. Imagine if you had an attitude that you're unstoppable, passionately curious, you were totally committed, you were consistent, you lived in a space of gratitude, and that you changed and upgraded your environment to be unstoppable. How much would your life change? That's the part I want to ask you. This is your school online that's going to get you to the next level of everything in your life, your relationships, your health, your energy, and the transformations are going to be lasting. Remember what happened to these people here. Their life changed because they were willing to learn something they didn't know they didn't know. Are you ready? Are you the next person that's going to level up your education, your environment, and become a person that transforms and grabs life big? Are you going to digest the top 10 rules, the Sunday System for Success, and bring that into your world for a fraction of what people have paid for it before, and for a fraction of the impact it would have on your life will be monumental. A tiny little investment for a massive return. Let me leave you with this last story. When I was 23 years old, I wanted so desperately to be in the movies. And I went down to this movie set and they kicked me off day after day after day. But finally I got in there because I kept on focusing on this burning desire to be in the movies. But I got a job as a gopher and that was it. And then one day I was, sweeping around the back of the set and just tidying up, and they were doing a filming at the end of the dock. It was in the water. And this is a movie called Meatballs 3. You can actually go to it and see myself in it. Patrick Dempsey is the star. You may have heard of this guy, pretty popular guy now. Anyway, he was losing his virginity to this goddess in a scene at nighttime and he was going to lose it in a boat. And the boat needed to be moving like they were making love. It was about 10 o'clock at night. It was dark. They had lights out. They had the camera crew set up. And it was in Montreal, Canada. The water was dark and murky and cold. And so the director, Don Carmody, goes, "And action, rock the boat." Well, guess what? They hadn't thought about rocking the boat. And Patrick Dempsey wasn't inside. He was sleeping in his hotel room. It was the scene. It was the B-roll of the boat moving that would be, cut into, him making love. And he's like, "Well, why isn't the boat moving?" And Don Carmody was a tough guy. "Why isn't the boat moving? This is costing money." And everybody looked around and everybody's like, "I'm not jumping in that water. I'm not getting cold, and God knows what's in that water and how deep it is." And I thought to myself, I was looking and I was watching, and nobody was taking action. And I was taught when I was young. I read a book. I grew up without a TV. I was taught, I learned to do what you fear until it disappears, and to say yes and figure it out later. It's kind of born into me from the raising of my father. When you grow up on a farm, if the water pipes of the horses bust, you don't just go, "Oh, I guess the horses will, drink tomorrow." You carry buckets out in the freezing cold and you fill them up and they drink that way. You make it happen no matter what. So I'm watching him yell and I'm thinking to myself, "Well, why don't I just jump in the water and do this? It's an opportunity for me to stand out." So sure enough, I just ran with all my clothes on, not knowing what was going to happen. And it was in the days when we didn't have cell phones, so I didn't jump in the water with my cell phone. And boom, in the water, and I grab the end of the boat and I start rocking the boat up and down. "How about this?" And the guy goes, "Wow, that's amazing. That's awesome. That's perfect. Go and roll." So I ended up taking action and rocking the boat and getting the result that they wanted. And it's funny because the next day, what happened was there was another scene that was happening, and there was mud and there was different things. And there was, again, the sticky point in the machinery of filming. And the producer yells out, "Where's that kid that rocked the boat yesterday? Bring him in here. He'll do anything." And I became seen on the radar. And sure enough, I ended up meeting one of the actresses. I ended up getting a role in the next movie, albeit a dead person. It was about the skill level of my acting role. I became an assistant director on another movie. And the reason is because I was willing to say yes. I was willing to take action. I was willing to act in spite of my fear, doubt, or worry. I was willing to rock the boat. So as I say this, I'm inviting you to take a chance on yourself and trust that you can do this. That's right. It's going to be worth it. You can do it. Jump in, say yes, download this, get started right away, and take the first step to the rest of your life. So on behalf of this beautiful ecosystem and the technology we have, I invite you to grab life big. And I hope to see you on the inside of the Top 10 Rules, the Sunday System for Success, and be somebody that's led you to an opportunity to live into your potential. So thank you for being part of this masterclass on success, and I'll see you on the inside.